YMB Movie Talk, movie talk from your movie blogger. My name is Simon Mansour, and I'm so happy that you've decided to join me today for the 15th episode of my podcast. Now, if you're watching this live, you'll notice it looks a bit different this time, and that is because I've actually started to use a streaming service to live stream my podcast externally from YouTube. So basically what that means is that I can run different videos and transitions and things like that onto the stream rather than just having it come up and me just talking. So that's something a bit different. I'm hoping it's okay. I hope the stream goes okay. I hope you enjoy the show. If those of you who are watching who aren't familiar with YMB Movie Talk, basically the format of the show is we talk movies. We get loads of topics from the world of film and we discuss them on the show. So whether it be a film review, an upcoming film coming out, talking about different casting newses, release dates, box office, all of that, things going on currently in the world of film, we'll talk about it on the show. So with all that being said, we'll get on to the first topic today, guys, that we're going to talk about. And obviously, just before actually I start on my first topic, I just want to say I was meant to do this show yesterday, but the reason I didn't do it yesterday is because I was just really ill. If you follow my Facebook page, you'll know that. I was very ill. I was just really bad. I just couldn't get out of bed. It wasn't COVID or anything like that. I just didn't have enough sleep the night before. I was just feeling terrible. So I don't really know what the cause of it was. It wasn't feeling very good, but I'm a lot better today. I'm still feeling a little bit rough here and there, but I'm okay more or less. So today we can actually talk about films back on the podcast. I'm excited to start the show. So without further ado, let's get on to the first topic, and that is talking about a piece of casting news revolving around the MCU. And that is a massive piece of news, but also a piece of news that isn't as big as probably you'd expect it to be when hearing it. And that is Russell Crowe has joined the cast of the fourth Thor film, Thor: Love and Thunder. So this basically was meant to be a surprise in the film. The casting of Russell Crowe, him appearing in Thor 4, was meant to be a surprise. This was a piece of casting news, along with like the Matt Damon news and all these other pieces of casting that we're going to get. Apparently, this film's going to be filled with cameos, similar to like a Guardians, the end of Guardians, where we got all those cameos from different actors. This is going to follow a very similar kind of format, where throughout the film we get people coming into the film, famous people, famous actors, to have like a surprise. However, this has been leaked. This is basically down to the fact that Russell Crowe, who obviously is Australian, he's been hanging out with the cast of Thor 4, who are filming currently in Australia. So there's been set photos leaked, they've been sharing pictures online, and obviously it's now been confirmed that Russell Crowe will be in Thor 4. Now, this is the thing. You're probably thinking, Russell Crowe in Thor 4, like, he's going to be a major role, he's going to be a very prominent character, who's he going to play? This is going to be no more than a cameo. Let's just confirm that right now. This is going to be very much a cameo, probably a Matt Damon like kind of cameo that we got in Thor Ragnarok, right, where Matt Damon was the fake Loki doing that like theatre performance at the start of Thor Ragnarok. This will be a very similar role that Russell Crowe takes on. So if people are thinking Russell Crowe's in Thor 4, he's going to be this major character, he's going to be this major role, that's not the case. But obviously this brings up a lot of questions. This film's already confirmed Matt Damon's going to be in it, returning as the theatre actor that he was in Thor Ragnarok. We're already getting, obviously now we know Russell Crowe. It begs the question, who else are we going to get in Thor 4? Because if you think about it, I mean, already the film's nowhere near being released. I think it's released next year. But we're already getting leaked news of pieces of casting. So it begs the question, who else are we going to see show up in Thor 4? It brings up a lot of possibilities, right? Because if you're getting an actor like Russell Crowe, who is one of the greatest actors of his generation. Make no mistake about that. Yeah, he's given some dodgy performances in the past, like Les Miserables. I don't think he was very good in that, but that was mainly down to the fact that Russell Crowe isn't a very good singer. But he's still a fantastic actor. Like, he's a brilliant actor. A Beautiful Mind, he was brilliant in that. Obviously, Gladiator was one of the roles that really made him a big name. He was great in 3:10 to Yuma. He was great in Man of Steel. He was brilliant as Jor-El. So this is an actor that's been around for a long time, very celebrated actor, very respected actor too. So it's good to see him being cast in the MCU. I'm looking forward to see how he like what type of character he plays. Is he gonna be a cameo? Is he gonna be a bigger role than that? Let me know your thoughts on that, guys. What do you think Russell Crowe's role is gonna be? Because for me, in my opinion, it's a cameo. It's definitely gonna be a quick 2-minute cameo that people are gonna be like, oh, it's Russell Crowe. That's what it was meant to be, right? But because of the leaked stuff that we've got, it's not going to be that now. But it doesn't matter. I'm excited to see Russell Crowe in this film. I'm excited to see... and also, I hope he has a little reunion with Christian Bale, because Christian Bale plays the villain in Thor 4, and obviously 3:10 to Yuma. They was brilliant together in that. So maybe we get a 3:10 to Yuma reunion. That would be very fun to see. Right, guys, getting on to the next topic today. And this brings... a little bit of a different news away from the MCU. This is talking about some Star Wars news. Now, I've not really talked about Star Wars much on my podcast before, and the basic reason for that is it's been kind of quiet on Star Wars news really since I've restarted. I am going to definitely review the films on this podcast at some point. So I'll be going through the original trilogy, the prequel series, and the sequel trilogy as well, eventually, similar to what I've done with the MCU, where I review them all in one kind of one podcast. I'll probably do that, but I don't know when that will be. But the piece of Star Wars news that we have to talk about today, guys, is talking about Joel Edgerton, who played Uncle Owen in Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, I think it was. Obviously, back then, very unknown actor. No one really knew much about Joel Edgerton. Now he's one of the most respected and probably one of the best actors around right now, Joel Edgerton. Especially when he picks a good role, he really shines. Definitely an Academy Award winning level actor. He's returning to reprise his role as Uncle Owen in the Disney Plus series Obi-Wan. Now, if you remember me talking about this years ago when this was announced, I think it might have been like episode 3 or 4, when they did the D23 presentation for all the stuff that they were going to release on Disney Plus, and one of the things was the Obi-Wan series. And obviously we talked about this at length back on that podcast. I think it was episode 3 or 4 we talked about it. And I'm a big fan of Joel Edgerton. Like I said, he's one of the most respected actors around right now. Very, very celebrated actor. So I'm looking forward to see how big of a role he's going to play as Uncle Owen in the Obi-Wan series. Because you've got to imagine this is going to be mostly focused on Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan. So it's also bringing up questions. Is he going to have a big role in this series? Are we going to see... a young Luke? Are we going to see a young Luke Skywalker? Because if we're getting Uncle Owen, it kind of makes sense to get a young version of Luke. That's a very, very real possibility. I think this casting news definitely brings that possibility to the forefront. I do think we'll get a young Luke Skywalker. Whether they're going to go the de-aged route of Mark Hamill, whether they're going to recast the role, I don't really know how they're going to do that, but definitely I do think we will get young Luke Skywalker. But I'm also excited to see how big of a role Joel Edgerton will play in this series, because in the original his original role in episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, a very, very minor role, didn't have a big role, just showed up more or less near the end of the film, right? This now, you've got the actor who is now, like I said, one of the most celebrated actors around right now, Academy Award winning level actor. You've got to imagine he's going to have a bigger role. Like, it just makes sense for him to have a bigger role now. So I'm excited to see him probably getting more of an expanded role in the Obi-Wan series. I'm looking forward to this Obi-Wan series as well. And also, talking about the Obi-Wan series, another little bit of news that came out about this series is that the series will begin shooting in April. So it will begin shooting from this month, the Obi-Wan series. This was announced probably about 2-3 days ago now, but obviously I've not been doing my podcast because I haven't been feeling very well. So this will definitely start shooting this month. So this was announced like 2-3 years ago, and now we're actually going to get it being shot. So I'm projecting this series will get a release for next year. I think that's what they're aiming for, a 2022 release date. So yeah, guys, what do you think of that? What do you think of Joel Edgerton coming back as Uncle Owen for the Obi-Wan series? Do you think we'll get a young version of Luke Skywalker? How big do you think Edgerton's role will be? And also, guys, what's your reactions about the Obi-Wan series beginning shooting this month? Are you excited? Are you looking forward to this series? Let me know in the live chat, guys, if you're watching this live on YouTube, and we'll get into a little discussion about it at the end of the show. Right, before we get on to the third topic today, guys, like I just said about the live chat, if you have any questions that you want answered at the end of the show, put them in the live chat. Any movie-related questions. It could be anything, my opinion on a film, a topic that I've not talked about on the show, anything you want me to talk about, guys, you put it in as a question in the live chat, and at the end of the show, I will get to those questions and answer them. So make sure you do that, guys, if you haven't already. And also, if you're watching this live on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notifications bell so you never, ever miss another episode of my podcast when I do more episodes in the future. And also, hit the like button on this as well if you're enjoying the show so far. That would be greatly appreciated. Right, getting on to the third topic today, and this is talking about a very anticipated film. I think it's been released today, if I'm not wrong in that. I think it's been released today. And that is Godzilla vs. Kong. Now, I'm not talking about a review because obviously I've not watched this film yet. But a big piece of news coming out from the Godzilla vs. Kong film is that this film is doing big business, guys. Big business, especially overseas. It's made 122 million in its opening weekend overseas. That's huge. In a COVID-19 like society we're living in right now, where businesses are closing, people are losing their jobs and all of that, to see a film do so well is really surprising to me. I wasn't expecting this film to do so well in its opening weekend. I wasn't expecting that. Now, most of it's come from China. A big portion of it has come from China, it has to be said. Obviously, China's a massive market now. They've really tried to promote this film in China. It's a big, it's got a big market in the Asian countries. Obviously, from Godzilla being a Japanese property, has very high interest in Asia. So this is definitely a market that they're trying to hit, and they've hit it really well. Made $70 million in its opening weekend in China. For a US film, a US produced film, that's huge, guys. That's massive, especially in the society we're living in right now. Now, obviously, this comes back to the whole thing of the release of Godzilla vs. Kong, because obviously in England, the cinemas are still shut. So I know in America, this is getting released on HBO Max and concurrently being released in cinemas. Like limited release in cinemas. It's not a wide release, but it's getting a limited release in certain cinemas in America. Now, obviously in England, we haven't got any cinemas open. We're still in a lockdown. We're kind of gradually coming out of it, but we're still in the phase of being in a lockdown. So we won't be getting this film in cinemas anytime soon anyway. I think cinemas are planned to reopen around mid-May. And the sad thing is, I think a Godzilla vs. Kong film, especially with how society's been due to COVID, imagine this film coming out in cinemas. Imagine if they would have waited to release this film as one of the first big tentpole films to be released post-lockdown. Say, for example, it gets released mid-May instead of getting released in like early April. That would be amazing. the cinemas would have been flooded even in England, right? I'm not just talking about America, like their domestic box office. I'm just talking about the English box office. I think it would have been huge, Godzilla versus Kong. And I think a film like this needs to be seen in cinemas. I've always thought that. When you have a big tentpole film like this, big special effects, big atmosphere, big score, you need that kind of cinematic feel. You need the cinemas, you need the sound, you need the big screen, whether you're going to watch it in IMAX or just a regular cinema. You need that experience, in my opinion, to really appreciate a film like this. And it's just kind of a shame that we're not going to get that. It is a shame that we're not going to get the big experience of really watching Kong versus Godzilla in that experience in the cinema. But obviously, abroad it's doing really good. In China, like I said, it's made $70 million over in China. That's huge. It's a massive bit of business there for Warner Brothers, and it shows this film definitely has potential. If they did want to release this film when cinemas reopen, I do think this will get some sort of a theatrical release. I do think that in England. Obviously, like I said, limited release in America, but I do think when cinemas reopen, we will get this film out at some point in cinemas. I really do. I really do think that. Now, as far as me reviewing Godzilla vs. Kong, I don't know how it's going to go, because I don't think, say, like, for example, with Zack Snyder's Justice League, they released it on Now TV as well as HBO Max. I don't think it's getting released on like a Now TV or a Netflix or anything like that over in England. I don't know if it's just gone to straight for like renting on like streaming services. So if you wanted to, like, I don't know, for example, you want to watch it on your Xbox, you can go onto the Xbox store and rent it from there, possibly. Or you could torrent it, I guess, if you wanted to. But I won't be doing that. I don't like torrenting. It kind of goes against everything I go for. Even though I did contemplate it because I really want to watch it. But you can't. Like, I want to watch this film properly. So my review for Godzilla vs. Kong will probably come out, I'm guessing, when they release it in cinemas. So when cinemas reopen in mid-May, if they do release this film in cinemas, I probably will watch it. Or if before then they release it on a Now TV or an Amazon Prime or a Netflix or something like that, then I'll probably review it then. But I'll probably will wait till it comes out in cinemas, because I think a film like this, you need the experience. And it's very clear to see, judging by the box office so far, it's doing very, very well. I mean, I think it's tracking for like a $30 or $40 million opening weekend in America. And that's just from a limited release. So 30 to 40 million limited cinemas in America. That's what it's tracking for, $30 to $40 million. That's huge. Like, most films that get a wide release don't even get anywhere close to making 30 to 40 million. So the fact that it's tracking for that, I mean, I think the Godzilla King of the Monsters film was kind of going, I think it made around that. I think it was made around $40 million opening weekend, and that was wide release. So it shows that this film definitely has a market. It has people excited. I'm excited to see it in cinemas if it does come out eventually, which I think it will. But guys, let me know your thoughts. What do you think of the box office from Godzilla vs. Kong? Do you think it would do well having a wide theatrical release? Are you going to be watching it early? You're going to wait for it to come out in cinemas? Let me know, guys, what your thoughts are on that. We'll have a little discussion about it at the end of the show. Right, getting on to the next topic today, guys, that we're going to be talking about some release date news. And that release date news is talking about Black Adam. We're back on the Black Adam train, guys. For the past few episodes, it feels like I talk about Black Adam every single episode, but there's started to become news being released more and more now about Black Adam, and finally we get a release date for Black Adam. I'm so excited. Obviously, if you've been watching the past few podcasts that we've been doing, we've talked a little bit about Black Adam. It was announced the other day that Pierce Brosnan was going to be joining the cast, and The Rock said that it's going to start filming in like 3 weeks' time. So we've got shooting news, we've got casting news, and now we get release date news. And not only just any release date news. This film is heading towards... Now, this is a US domestic release. Obviously, this is a US produced film. I have to talk about the US release. I don't know when it's going to be released in England, but I'm guessing it'll be around this date. But in America, this film is going to be releasing on the 29th of July, 2022. That means, as you can tell by the title, if you're watching this, it's going to go up against Indiana Jones 5. So this poses a lot of questions. This, to me, is only a good thing, because you might think of this and think, well, isn't this a bad idea? Isn't this going to kind of monopolise Black Adam a little bit? Is it going to take away from the total box office that we'll potentially be getting from this? Like, if you're opening up against something like Indiana Jones, a very well-established series, it's been away for a long time, it'll hit the nostalgia for a lot of people. Surely that's going to swallow most of Black Adam's box office. And there's potential it'll still move. There's definitely potential that it will still move. I don't know if this release date will stick. I'm sure Warner Brothers will wait to see the tracking closer to the time when they release the trailers and the kind of talk about the film online. I'm sure they'll keep track of that, and then if Black Adam's not making a lot of noise, or Indiana Jones making more of a noise than Black Adam, I do still think it will be moved. I think if that happens, it will be moved. But for the initial kind of thought of this for me only says good things. The fact that Warner Brothers are even putting it out there that they're going to go up against Indiana Jones 5 is a massive statement for me. It's a statement of intent from Warner Brothers. They are saying, we believe in this film. We believe in the film. We believe in the director. I think the film's been directed by Jean-Colette Serra, who has directed a lot of the Liam Neeson action revenge thrillers over the past few years. Like, he did Non-Stop. He did one a year after. I think it was called Unknown. Was it Unknown? He's done so many of these films, Liam Neeson. It's hard to kind of keep track. I think was it Run by Night? Run All Night? Run by Night? Something like that. So he's done a lot of these types of films, right? And Jean-Colette Serra at one point was being linked to direct the Suicide Squad sequel that James Gunn's now doing. But for a long time, he was kind of on WB's radar to direct that. So he's the director for Black Adam. So even though I think he's a very middling action director, I think he could still pull it off. I'm not a huge fan of Jean-Colette Serra, I'm going to be honest there. I liked Non-Stop. It was okay, but again, it's very much a formula kind of, trending type of film. It follows the formula of like an action movie quite kind of strongly. So can he bring something unique to Black Adam? Obviously, it's got The Rock in it. I'm a huge fan of The Rock. I think he's a very unique personality in Hollywood. I think he's got a very unique kind of... No one is like him. So I think him as Black Adam, it's long overdue, and I'm very excited to see it. So I think this definitely shows that WB have trust in their director. They have trust in the cast. They have trust in The Rock. They have trust that this film will be successful. So that's only a good thing for me. That from as far as me looking forward to Black Adam and kind of looking forward to if this film's going to be good or not, this screams a lot of positivity for me. However, like I said, there's still a lot of time for this. We've seen this 1,000 times. A film announces a release date. We saw it with Batman vs Superman, if you remember. Batman vs Superman originally was supposed to be opening the same day as Captain America Civil War. And then the trailers got released. people weren't really feeling Batman versus Superman. It was getting mixed reactions to the trailers. They pulled it off that release date and then put it to March. So there's still possibility that that will happen with Black Adam and Indiana Jones 5. I don't think Disney will move Indiana Jones 5. I'm convinced on that. I think they're very much kind of set for that there. I can't see that being moved. But there is definitely a possibility that WB will move Black Adam. It's an unknown property. It's got a very well-known cast. It's got the DC label behind it. But as far as this being a well-known property, it's not got that same kind of feeling that an Indiana Jones has. It hasn't got the same history as an Indiana Jones or the nostalgia that Indiana Jones has. So do I think it will move? Yes. But as far as my initial reaction to this being released on the same day as Indiana Jones 5, it does give me a lot of hope that WB are feeling positive about this film. So I'm looking forward to it. We'll just have to see how this film is nearer the time when we get trailers and stuff like that. But I'm very much looking forward to it. So put it in the live chat, guys. What do you think? What do you think of Black Adam going up against Indiana Jones 5 on the 29th of July 2022 for a US domestic release? What are your opinions on that? Do you think it will move like I do, or do you think it will stick that and then try and go up against Indiana Jones 5 and see if it can top it? So let me know, guys, in the live chat. What do you think about that? Do you think it will move? Do you not think it will move? Let me know and we'll have a little discussion about that at the end of the show. Right, going on to the fifth topic today, and it's a little bit more release date news, but this goes a little bit more kind of in depth. I'll go more in depth with this one, and this is for many reasons, because it has been announced that Venom 2 and Mortal Kombat, their release dates are moving again. So basically what this means, and if you're not really kind of familiar with the release schedule that we've had for Venom 2, you won't really you'll probably be thinking, oh, it's moved release date, it's normal, it's fine, whatever. That's not really, it goes a lot more deeper than that. And the reason for that is that Venom 2 has already been moved. The release date for Venom 2 has been moved and shuffled around so much already. This is a film that's been moved around and shuffled around so much. And I mean, I think they've finished filming now, or they're definitely continuing filming now. I don't know if they've finished, but I know they've definitely started filming. So I don't know if they need to do reshoots or whatever it might be, but that's still up in the air with Venom 2. However, the reason it's moved its release date, it's moved from the 17th of September to the 24th of September for a US domestic release. And the reason for that is the competition. I think Sony have come out and basically said that, look, we don't want to go up. We don't want this film. We feel that we can target our audience more on the 24th than we can on the 17th, because I think on the 17th, the new Boss Baby film comes out, and you're probably thinking, Boss Baby and Venom 2, like, that's a very different audience, right? Venom 2, a lot more older, Boss Baby families, right? However, you have to take into account that with a film like Boss Baby, it's definitely going to have a big audience, because not only is it going to have the audience from the kids, the parents are going to go, then the brothers and sisters are going to go, and then it's that kind of family movie. Family movies always do well. That's just the truth, especially if they've been well, like if they've got a film that did well before, like Boss Baby did. It's had like a spin-off short TV series on Netflix as well, so it's got a fan base there. And I think what Sony are worried about is that Boss Baby will kind of eat into the potential box office of Venom 2. So Venom 2 is now moved to the 24th of September. Basically, it's not having the competition there. The competition's not as strong as it is the week before. So I think Venom 2, it's a smart thing from Sony. It's a smart thing for Sony to do, because they don't want to monopolise their films. And I'm sure Boss Baby is a Sony animated film too, so I don't think they want to monopolise both properties. They want both properties to shine and have time for them to, get a decent box office. So they're only releasing a week apart, but I do think it's just a business thing. I don't think you should be worrying about the quality of Venom 2 based on this news. So if people are reading, Venom 2 is moved, does that mean that they're not trusting this film? Do they not think it's going to be a good film? It's not that. The reason Venom 2 is moved is because Sony don't want to monopolise both properties like that. They don't want to eat into each other's box office, and they want both films to have a good first opening week and opening weekend. So that's kind of the reason for that. However, the Mortal Kombat news is a little bit more deep because this film, unlike Venom 2, which is 5-6 months away, it's kind of expected that the release date might move a little bit. Mortal Kombat is due to come out in 2-3 weeks. Mortal Kombat is literally right around the corner. And the trailer came out and people, like the trailer, them looking forward to the film. This is literally supposed to come out, is it the 14th of April? I'm pretty sure this is supposed to come out around the 14th of April. I'm pretty sure. So this is the thing. No, it wasn't. It was meant to come out the 16th of April. Sorry, I got that wrong. It's meant to come out the 16th of April. So the reasoning that this film has been moved, basically no one knows. They've released this film a week later. They've pushed it a week forward. It's now due to come out on the 23rd of April rather than the 16th of April. So it's been moved a week. No one really knows the reason why. There's lots of theories going around why this film's been pushed back. One of the theories that I like and kind of makes the most sense is that the reason this film has been moved is due to the fact, I think this is a WB film. It's meant to come out on HBO Max. The reason this film was moved is basically, it's something to do with HBO Max. So basically, when we got Justice League, right? And you're probably thinking, what's Zack Snyder's Justice League got to do with Mortal Kombat? You're probably thinking, where's the relation there? The reason this film's moved, in my opinion, is because of Zack Snyder's Justice League. And like I said, you're probably wondering, what have the two got in common? They're a month apart. They're not going to monopolise each other's release. They're not coming out in theatres. Well, I think Mortal Kombat might get a limited release domestically in America, but I don't think... Well, Zack Snyder's film, it got some cinemas showed it in IMAX, but it wasn't really even a limited release, to be honest. So, you're probably wondering why is this happening? And the reason of it comes down to HBO Max. So, HBO Max, obviously, is the streaming service for Warner Brothers properties. And in the past, during the time frame when Zack Snyder's Justice League was released and when Mortal Kombat was meant to be released on the 16th of April, that meant they would have had 3 big budget films come out in the space of a month. This is the theory going round. Whether this is true or not, I don't know. But this theory has the most weight to it, so I'll be going from this theory for this particular topic. And it basically goes like this. Within the time frame of Zack Snyder's Justice League coming out, in that month period, so when people sign up to watch Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max, it's a month subscription. It's around $15, right, for HBO Max in America. In that time frame, they are releasing Zack Snyder's Justice League, Godzilla vs. Kong, and Mortal Kombat. Now, you have to think, on a business sense, if people who signed up to watch that Justice League film, that's a monopoly there. That's a month. That's a whole month of subscription there. And in that time frame, you're getting 3 big budget films for the price of 1 month subscription. What HBO Max have done is very smart because they have moved Mortal Kombat outside of that 1 month window. So instead of it kind of being in this 1 month window with Godzilla versus Kong and Zack Snyder's Justice League, instead what it's done is gone outside of that 1 month window. So if people want to watch Mortal Kombat, they'll have to resubscribe for HBO Max. So they won't get it on the same month that they got Justice League and Godzilla versus Kong. So this is a bit convoluted, but if you understand where I'm going with this, basically it's a business thing. They want to do it for money. That's what this all comes down to, is that, and I can understand it as well. This isn't me moaning at HBO Max for doing this, because I think it's smart for them to do it. I think the fact that moving this film a week later to be outside of that 1 month window is very smart if you want repeat subscriptions for HBO Max, because a lot of people did subscribe for HBO Max for Justice League, and to do that you had to subscribe for the month. So in that, they've released Justice League, Godzilla vs. Kong, so you're getting this good content, you're getting this good flow of content. So to make people want to stay for longer, they've basically just pushed Mortal Kombat outside of that 1 month window to get more subscriptions, basically. That's the whole reason they've done this. It's all financial, it's all business reasons why they've done this. And I think it's a genius move. Controversial might be that, you know, that it's kind of been advertised coming out in that same time frame, so a lot of people probably thought, oh, we're not just getting Justice League for $15, we're getting Justice League and we're getting another film and another film. It's basically not worked out like that. And is it a little bit slimy of HBO Max to do this once people have already subscribed for that month? I think it is a little bit, and that's my problem with it. If that's the reason why they've done it, which I do think that is the reason, that's the reason that makes the most sense to me. I think that is the reason they've done it. And if that's why they've done it, for me, it's a slimy move. Because you've advertised, people have already bought their subscriptions for this month, thinking they're getting Justice League, Godzilla, and they're going to be getting Mortal Kombat as well for that month. They've already bought that subscription. And now, like 2-3 weeks before this film's meant to come out, you're pushing it forward outside of that subscription window. I think that's a bit slimy. I get it. It makes sense. And if they would have done this 2-3 months ago, it would have made sense. But the fact they're doing it in the window that they've already got the subscription, people have already subscribed for, I think is a little bit slimy for them to do. It's a little bit slimy for them to do. So, does it make sense from a business perspective? Yes, it does. It makes perfect sense from a business perspective, but it's a bit immoral, really, from HBO Max. But, guys, what do you think of this? Because I want to hear your opinions on this. Do you think it's slimy for HBO Max to do this? Do you think it's slimy for Warner Media to do this with Mortal Kombat? Do you think it's a bit immoral? It's a bit unethical? I do, personally. It's smart business-wise, but they've left it too late, in my opinion. They've left it too late, and it's a little bit wrong of them to do this for me. So let me know in the live chat or in the comments. Let me know, what do you think of this news? The Venom news and the Mortal Kombat news. What's your opinion on that news, guys? And we'll get into your opinions on that at the end of the show if you want to put anything in the live chat. Okay, so going on to the next piece of news today, guys, and that is a bit of news I'm really kind of looking forward to talk about. Despite me being nervous to talk about it, because we don't really know much about this, and this is just kind of going as an idea, and that is that Sylvester Stallone has announced he's doing like a script treatment for a Rocky prequel series to go on a streaming service. And this, for me, gives me mixed emotions, because I love the Rocky series. If you watched my MCU review on the last podcast, you'll know that the Rocky series is my second favourite franchise ever. It's my second favourite franchise ever in the history of film. it goes Harry Potter, Rocky, and then MCU. So it's my second favourite series ever. I don't like this news. And you're probably wondering, you're kind of being hypocritical because you love Rocky and, I do. I love the Rocky series. It's one of my favourite series of all time. I love the original film. It's still, for me, one of the best films ever made. I love the Creed films. Rocky 4's a cheesy blast of a film, and I do love it. But it has to be said, I don't like this for many reasons. And the one reason I don't like it is because of the idea of it being a prequel series. I'm not a big fan of prequels. Sometimes they could work. I'm not saying the idea of a prequel is bad. The only problem with the prequel is we already know where the characters in that series or film in this prequel are going to end up. We already know where they're going to end up. There's no tension there. There's no stakes there. It's hard to emotionally invest in that story. You already know where it's going to go. So I don't like the idea of it being a prequel series. And I guess, look, Rocky's been going for nearly 50 years. Like, it's going to be hard to do a Rocky sequel series, right? That's going to be tough to do. But I don't like the idea of it being a prequel series. Away from my opinions on the prequel series, what Stallone is basically going for is that he wants to explore the character of Rocky, what he was like before the fight with Apollo, right? What was he like in his early 20s, in the 60s? That's why they're basically setting it in the 60s. He's basically putting Rocky in a different time frame to deal with the civil rights movement and the Cuban Missile Crisis and all these things, these big events that happened in the 60s. How would that affect Rocky? How did Rocky deal with that? What was Rocky's kind of involvement? What did Rocky, putting Rocky in these real world situations? I like the idea in theory, but there's a lot of issues that don't excite me with this. There's a lot of things that leave me very trepidatious. One of the main things is, if it's a prequel series, they're going to have to recast the role of Rocky. And, well, they could either recast or de-age Stallone, but I do think they'll recast the role of Rocky, so they'll get a younger actor in. I'm not usually the type of person to say that you can't recast a character. You can't recast a role or anything like that. But Rocky is so Stallone. If you ever want an example of a perfect piece of casting, Stallone as Rocky is that. He created the character. He wrote the script for that first film. He insisted on playing the role. He didn't even sell the script unless he was promised the main role of Rocky. So this is really an extension of Stallone. That it's not just the voice, it's the mannerisms, it's the personality, it's the understanding of the character. I just don't think anyone can play this role other than Stallone. That's my big worry. It's so uniquely Stallone. I don't see another actor being able to play this character. That's just my opinion. I don't see him being able to be played by a different actor. So that's a problem for me straight out the gate. That's a big problem for me. I don't like the idea of them recasting the character of Rocky. And also, I don't like the idea of going back and saying, oh, Rocky was this before the event that happened with Apollo in the first film. That is where the Rocky series starts. That's when Rocky becomes who he is. That's when he meets Adrian. He gets with Adrian. Adrian is the emotional core for Rocky. That's what spurs Rocky on. That's what turns him from being this street thug with a heart to being, a world champion fighter. She's the emotional core for that character. And going back to see Rocky in his early 20s being this street thug type of character, putting him in these real world situations, I think it doesn't really make a lot of sense for the character of Rocky. Now, if you was telling me Stallone wants to write a film about a character in the 1960s, like, dealing... Cause Stallone's a good writer. Stallone's a very good writer when he wants to be. He's a very, very good screenwriter. He deals with drama and emotion really well. So that's something I would have looked forward to. But putting the character of Rocky in a setting like that, for me, I don't think that works. I don't think it works. The whole idea of this series is Rocky was nobody. That's the whole heart of this series, is in that first film, he was a nobody. No one cared about him. Everyone shat all over him, treated him like garbage. No one respected him. And then he gained people's respect and he gained people's appreciation because what happened with him and Apollo and meeting Adrian, he changed as a person. That's the whole heart of that first film, is a nobody becoming a somebody, right? I don't think a series about a nobody in big real world events makes a lot of sense. I just don't see it. I don't see it. For me, the Rocky series is done. From the perspective of the character of Rocky, anyway, that story is done. With the second Creed film, how that ended, Rocky reconnecting with his son, and seeing his grandchild, and that for me is the emotional core. That emotional core is done. Done. It's finished. The story of Rocky is done in that world. If you want to continue the continuity and have films or a TV series based in the world of Rocky, I like the sound of that. That makes sense. I like that. The idea of that makes sense for me. I like the idea of continuing this world, continuing the traditions of this series, continuing, following the Michael B. Jordan Creed character. If we're going to do that, that sounds good. I like the idea of that. But a prequel series based around Rocky in the 1960s, not for me. I don't like that. And I love the Rocky series. Like I said, the Rocky series is one of my favourite series of all time. I love the Rocky series. But for me, no. No, unfortunately. So, look, guys, let me know what your opinion is. Let me know what your opinion is on this. Do you think it's a good idea for this Rocky series to happen? Do you like the idea of a Rocky prequel series? Let me know, guys. I personally don't like the idea. I don't think it's a very good idea for Stallone to do this. I would rather see a sequel series or about a new boxer kind of hearing the story of Rocky, someone from like an underprivileged background hearing the story of Rocky and he gets inspired or something like that, right? Something like that. That excites me. I just don't like the idea of just going back and kind of breaking the spirit of a series for the sake of more content. I don't like the idea of that. But listen, it might work. Stallone's a very talented guy. But I just don't like the idea of them recasting the role of Rocky, and I don't like the idea of a prequel series set in this world. I just don't. It doesn't interest me, in my opinion. If you wanted to probably do like a prequel series on Apollo, maybe that could work. I'd like that, maybe, to go back and kind of follow Apollo as he was coming up. His relationship with his parents. Maybe you could do some interesting story with that. Maybe, if you want to set it in like the late 50s, early 60s, if Stallone wanted to do like a political kind of statement with his story, you put Apollo, a young black American in the late 1950s when he was a teenager, or the early 60s coming up as a boxer. If you wanted to do that, that could be interesting. You can kind of deal with the racial prejudice of Americans in the 1950s and 60s, how he overcame racism to become the best boxer in the world. If you wanted to do that would be interesting. I just don't like the idea of doing it with the character of Rocky. It doesn't make sense. I don't like the idea of them doing it. And personally, I don't think it's a very interesting thing to do. But we'll have to wait and see. I'll keep my eyes on it, and we'll see where it kind of goes with that. But I'm mildly optimistic at best about this. Right, getting on to the last topic today, guys. And like I said, if you've got any questions that you want answered in on the show, any movie-related questions, doesn't matter what it is, just put it in the live chat on YouTube if you're watching this live, and I can answer them at the end of the show. Right, getting on to the last topic today, going back to the Godzilla versus Kong discussion. And this is something that really, really upsets me. And you're probably wondering, what is it? And it's the idea of review bombing, right? So IMDb, a good website, I like IMDb. Gives good information on upcoming films. Good, if you're interested to find out who's in the film, going back on an actor's previous films, their box office, all of that. It's good for that. The only issue with IMDb is that it's basically it's a public forum in that sense. IMDb is basically for people. They can just go on IMDb and put whatever review they want for a film, and it goes towards the review, the overall review of the IMDb score. And this comes with the Godzilla vs. Kong discussion because people who the fans of the Zack Snyder fans have basically gone and review bombed Godzilla vs. Kong. They've gone and review bombed Godzilla vs. Kong to give it a whole load of negative reviews. Thankfully, we have a good piece of news about this though, because IMDb have removed all the Zack Snyder related negative reviews from Godzilla vs. Kong. So, if people are looking to kind of get more information on this film and they see a really bad IMDb score, they'll instantly be put off to seeing it. So it's good that IMDb have done this. But for me, it just upsets me the fact that we as a film fan community, right, it's one of my favourite communities to be a part of. I love talking about films with different people, getting people's opinions on things. If you don't like a film for a valid reason, that's fair enough. I understand that. But review bombing a film just because it's a personal vendetta, for me, is ridiculous. It's childish and it's pathetic. It's honestly pathetic. If you're one of those people that are going to go to a public forum website like an IMDb or even a Rotten Tomatoes, right? Rotten Tomatoes is a bit more kind of streamlined in that sense because it uses actual critics' reviews, right? It doesn't just get review bombed by people, even though they do have a public kind of tomato meter. They also have the critic one, so you can kind of take the two as it is, right? You get the audience you get the audience thoughts on it, and you get the critics, right? With IMDb, it's all public, so it's good to see that IMDb have sorted it out, but it just annoys me. It just annoys me that this happens, right? This has happened loads of times. We get it with the Marvel and DC thing, right, where really bitter Marvel fans, if they see a DC film getting really good feedback, they'll just go on IMDb, review bomb the latest DC film, and bring the score down and try and kind of ruin the hype for it, and vice versa. We get it with Star Wars fans, we get it with Marvel fans, we get it with bloody Lord of the Rings fans, we get it with all types of fans in the film world. When their series doesn't get the recognition it deserves, they go to a series that is getting good recognition and they just review bomb it to make it look worse than it is in the public kind of eye, right? It's pathetic. It needs to stop. I'm glad IMDb are putting a stop to this. I'm glad they're sorting that out, because it could have... and this is another thing as well. Don't forget, this is... The Justice League film is a WB film. It's a Warner Brothers film. It's a Warner Brothers film. So, guess what also is a Warner Brothers film? Zack Snyder's Justice League is a Warner Brothers film. It's HBO Max, yes. It is HBO Max. But HBO Max is run by Warner Brothers. It's a Warner Brothers film, so... I just burped. I'm sorry. I'm so shocked. Well, I'm not shocked. I'm just a shocking person. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm just disgusting. So, right. Away from my inability to hold in a burp, going back onto the whole Warner Brothers thing, they're both Warner Brothers films. So all the fans of a Zack Snyder Justice League, film, or Zack Snyder in general, who Zack Snyder works with Warner Brothers, is a very Warner Brothers kind of director. You're review bombing another Warner Brothers film. That's just going to hurt Warner Brothers. It doesn't make any sense. I just don't understand people's mentality. Like, the fact that you don't like, if you don't like it and you genuinely don't like Godzilla vs. Kong, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. If you don't like the film for a valid reason, you didn't like the characters, you didn't like the visual effects, you didn't like the music, the direction, all of that, fair enough. That makes sense. But to just review bomb a film for the sake of bringing the public interest down, and to do it because your director, your favourite directors, he didn't get the respect he deserved on his film, so we're going to review bomb this other film, it's stupid. It's pathetic. It's childish. And I'm glad that they're finally sorting that out, IMDb. I'm so glad that they're doing that. So, yeah, guys, thanks for watching the podcast today. It's been a little bit of a different one. We go back to the original format. Like I said, I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you've enjoyed this new kind of layout of the show with the live stream. I hope it's worked. I hope we get good. It's been good to listen to. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed all the topics that we've talked about today. Obviously, if you want to go and discuss these topics amongst yourselves, go into the comments, talk about the topics amongst yourselves, have a little discussion about it. That'll be fun. I'll join in as well. I like talking about films, so I'll always join in the conversation. If you're listening to this as an audio version on Spotify or SoundCloud, please make sure to follow my accounts on there, guys. Follow my Spotify, follow my SoundCloud. Like the podcast if you enjoy listening to it. Share it around. It just helps to get the word out more about it, and gets kind of, more of an interest from my podcast, right? And if you do enjoy it, also share it around on Facebook, all of that. That really helps me, guys, as well. Also, if you'd like to donate to the show, if you enjoyed the show, you'd like to donate to it, go to my SoundCloud, and there's a PayPal me link in there. So you can, if you want to donate to the show, anything, 50p, 20p, 10p, 1p, doesn't matter. If you want to donate anything towards your show, or use it to buy better equipment and all of that, then you're more than welcome to do that if you want to. Like I say, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. I'm not forcing you to do it, right? It's up to you if you'd like to. But if you'd like to do that, then you're more than welcome to. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching my podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. I won't be doing a podcast tomorrow, because I'm a little bit busy tomorrow. I'm going to see family tomorrow, so I won't be doing a podcast tomorrow, but I should be back on Saturday. I'm planning to talk about the Star Wars films on Saturday, so that's something I'd like to do, or maybe I'll review the Harry Potter films. I'm not too sure yet. I'll decide. But make sure you subscribe and hit the notifications bell on my YouTube channel, so then you can keep up to date with what I'm doing, right? So if you like the podcast, you want to keep up to date on it, make sure you head to my main YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. If you're listening to this off of YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications bell, never miss a video. That'd be very, very appreciated, guys. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you all very, very soon. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Take care of yourselves, love you all, and stay safe. See you later, guys.